Interview guests who also like to share their experience, strength, and hope with us. I'm about 8 years after losing 60 pounds on the TV show The Biggest Loser. I gained my weight back, and I've struggled ever since. So I decided to have gastric bypass. And since my surgery, I've had tremendous issues, and now 10 years later, have found my way to a meat-based diet. Before I introduce our guest, I'd like my co-host to introduce herself. G, tell us about your surgery and your channel.
Hey, everybody. My name is G Brown, the Lifestyle Changer. And I, too, had gastric surgery. Adrienne had the gastric bypass where they rerouted her intestines. I had the gastric sleeve where they just threw more than half of my stomach away. That surgery was 11 years ago last month, April made 11 years, and no one knew I had the surgery. I was ashamed to tell my story because I felt like if you did that, you cheated. But not really knowing that it is just as difficult, but now I just have a reduced stomach. So your woes are not over. You know what? That's my kid. Your woes are not over in regards to that. So, with that being said, I love that Adrienne and I are trying to tell everyone's story. Some people this might have worked for. It's not working for us. All right. We're both like 10 plus years in, and I'm finding where my issues now are different. It might not be the weight because at my heaviest, good morning, everybody. At my heaviest, I was 260 plus pounds. That was the last time I stood on the scale and it counted, but I know I got bigger. But I'm going to hold on to the 260. And I'm just thankful for where I am now. So with that, can we meet our guest?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. She's a very special guest. She had the gastric band, so a different surgery than G and I. So now we've got most of the surgeries covered. You might recognize her. She was just on Coach Bronson's channel telling her story. You might also recognize her. She's a certified primal health coach. She's on social media, Keeping Us Keto. I'd like to introduce Michelle. Hi, Michelle.
Ooh,
Hi, thank you
Michelle.
so much.
Wait a
Thanks for
minute.
coming on our channel today. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, like how life has been and how you ended up how did you figure out that you would like to get the gastric band?
Oh boy. All right. So my struggles with weight, like a lot of people, started when I was little. I mean, I think I was put on my first diet when I was 9 or 10 years old. And, back then, 1986, people don't think of, you know, children who have weight issues or who, go after food constantly are dealing with something else in their life. And I had a fairly significant life change happen the summer of 1986, where we moved from Iowa to Las Vegas. And I was away from my mom for about 6 weeks. I was living with my dad at the time. And food. Oh, food. Yes. And in that 6 week period, I gained about 15 pounds. And again, I was 9 years old. So I get off the plane in Las Vegas. My mom doesn't even recognize me. She is horrified at this, morbidly obese child that's coming off of an airplane. And I got put on my first diet that next day. And it was a constant struggle from then, from, middle school, high school, getting pregnant with my son when I was 20 years old. I gained 75 pounds when I was pregnant with him. And then, oh, shoot, that weight doesn't come off after you have the baby. Oops. So I went through many, many different options to try and lose weight. I went on phentermine. I didn't do fen-phen because that was dangerous, but phentermine was okay. I did Weight Watchers for probably a culmination of 10 years. I did different, Slim Fast, Dexatrim, all the weight loss medications, all the over-the-counter stuff. And yes, I would lose weight and then it would all come back as soon as I stopped, plus some. So I met my husband. We got married in 2007, and he loved me no matter what, big or small, because I was both in, the first 4 or 5 years of our marriage. And I had friends who had had surgery, weight loss surgery in the past. And it is something I said I would never do because number one, I couldn't afford it. And number two, most of them had some fairly significant issues after they did it, which I wasn't interested in doing. So fast forward to 2011, I am at the heaviest weight of my life at that point, which was 275 pounds. I was just a miserable being. I had gone in and started therapy to work on myself. And then all of a sudden, I discovered that my health insurance at the time would cover weight loss surgery 100%. Ooh, that was a big hurdle. Okay, so maybe this isn't such a bad thing. So I start going to the seminars. And at that time in 2011, sleeve was fairly new. My health insurance would not cover that. So my two options were gastric bypass or gastric band. And I did not want to do bypass because, like I said, I'd had a number of friends who had had that done in the past. And all of them were about 5 years out and were having significant health issues because of it. Most of them iron deficient, having to go in for the infusions and all that. So I didn't want to do that. I didn't have the option of sleeve. And then I was like, well, you know what? This thing is removable. It is the least invasive. And in my opinion, was the least barbaric option because they weren't cutting anything out of my body. It's so much safer to wrap a plastic band around your stomach, right? So that's what I did. That was the option I went with. And I should have at my seminar had red flags all over the place because they had a woman who was presenting there who was a prior patient of my surgeon who actually had to have her band removed and placed the day after surgery because she got sick from the anesthesia. She was purging and hurling and everything else, and her band slipped. But the doctor said, oh, that is a very, very, very rare complication. It happens in, 1 in 150,000 people or something like that. Oh, okay. I don't need to worry about that. So May 27th, 2011, I went through and I had my lap band. And it was one of the happiest days of my life. I've got a picture of me sitting in a hospital bed with my little hair thing on. And I'm like, yay, here we go. I'm so excited. And I remember coming out of anesthesia and asking them if I was skinny yet. So, because that was all that mattered to me was getting skinny. Like that was my goal, because if I got skinny, every other problem I had in my life would be fine. Everything would be resolved. Whew, boy, did I have a lot to learn. So the procedure itself was about 15 minutes long. It is very fast to do it. Yeah. They take the band that has a little silicone tube on the inside of it. They wrap it around the top part of my stomach and basically the bottom of my esophagus, the top of my stomach, to create my stoma. That could not hold more than 3 ounces of food, as you ladies know. 3 ounces is like our sweet spot, right? So I had to start out with my liquid diet, and then I was able to go into mushies and this and that. Well, when you're not consuming more than 500 to 800 calories a day, yeah, you start losing weight really, really quickly. And my weight went down fast. Excuse me. But I had this magic number in my head. I had to lose 100 pounds in the first year in order to be a success, because that's what everybody did. 100 pounds. What is it with that number in the first year? That's what everybody shot for, was 100 pounds. So I really did not do a whole lot of exercising or anything else at that point. I just starved myself. And, that's the gist of it. Was I wasn't able to eat. So yes, I lost an incredible amount of weight. I lost an incredible amount of muscle. Right around Christmas of 2011, things kind of started slowing down. I wasn't on track to hit that 100-pound mark. So of course I start exercising. And I'm not talking like good exercise. I am saying chronic cardio. I was at the gym 5 to 6 days a week doing 1 hour to 2 hours of cardio every single day, because that's what you did to be able to lose weight. I needed to get skinny. That's what I have to do. Not taking into account the other effects it was going to have on my body, and the fact that I was going to end up with hanging skin and I was going to have other issues that came into play. So come May of 2012, my weigh-in that day was 198 pounds. I did not hit the 100-pound weight mark. And I was a failure because of that. I was so disappointed in myself because, it's all about that 100 thing. I mean, granted, I was in Wonderland again at that point, which was exciting, but I didn't hit 100-pound weight loss. And let me tell you, ladies, I never hit 100 pounds of weight loss through my entire process. So I continued with the chronic cardio, trying to lose weight. I started running. I actually ended up fracturing my foot because I was running so frequently because my goal was to get skinny. I don't think I got below a size 10 in my clothing. The lowest weight I ever hit was 179 pounds. So I was 4 pounds shy or 3 pounds shy of the 100-pound weight loss after having surgery. And it was a disappointment. And so then guess what? Not all of my problems were solved because I didn't lose 100 pounds. And at about between year 2 and year 3, my weight loss stopped. And then what? Now what am I supposed to do? So I actually went to a doctor to see about being put on phentermine again to keep me from having any sort of appetite so that I could continue to lose weight because, of course, that was going to fix me.
Mhm.
They wouldn't do it because I was so new to having the weight loss surgery. And they were like, no, you just need to give it some more time. Well, that frustrated me. And so what did I do? I learned how to cheat my band. I learned how to cheat Weight Watchers. I learned to cheat every diet I'd ever been on. And I figured out how to cheat the lap band. And let me tell you, milkshakes go down really easily when you have a band. They don't get stuck. And so I went through this kind of back and forth. Then I started doing other programs to try and lose weight. I was doing the 2 shakes a day plus a healthy dinner thing. I was doing all of that. But weight kept creeping up. So in May, it was actually May 13th of 2015. I just had my 9-year anniversary of almost dying. I had been going back and forth, fluctuating with weight. I think I was up to about 205, maybe 210 pounds at this point. So I went from 179 and gained that much weight back because nobody warned me that you can gain the weight back with a band, with a sleeve and with a bypass. Yeah, because your stomach will stretch back out. But I had, this little thing that was keeping me from passing food through. So I should have been okay. It wasn't the case. So I was at work that day and I had, I would snack on pistachios a lot and I was eating them right around 10, 11 o'clock in the morning and I got stuck. Well, you ladies know what it's like to get stuck, right? So what happens when we get stuck? We have that productive burp and you bring everything back up, which I did. I was no stranger to productive burping. Well, something happened during that particular episode. I don't know if it was just because it was a more coarse food or I had too many that were stuck in there at that one time, but unknowingly, my stomach swelled shut. And so even when I tried to drink water, it would come right back up. And so I went through this all day where I would try and drink water just to keep myself hydrated. And within 10 to 15 minutes, I was bringing it back up. And I'm like, oh, great. So continue throughout the day. I finished my work day because that's what I do. And I decided, all right, I'll go to the emergency room just to get my band looked at and to get the fluid taken out because I couldn't find a bariatric surgeon in Arizona where I now live to see me because another doctor in another state had placed the band. Nobody wanted to touch me. So I go to the emergency room and at this point I'm vomiting blood. And it was a little bit scary because I'm like, wait, that's pink. And then it just got brighter and brighter and brighter. I let the hospital staff know. They're like, okay, yep, we'll be with you shortly. I get in to see the doctor and he takes x-rays of my stomach because I told them I have a band. I think I need fluid taken out because things aren't passing through. He comes back in after looking at the x-rays and he goes, everything looks great. Your band is still where it's supposed to be. I have you scheduled for 9 a.m. tomorrow morning with a bariatric surgeon to have the fluid taken out. And I was celebrating at that point because, yes, this doctor who refused to see me finally had to see me now. And I went through the entire night doing the same thing all night. And the next day, I was so weak because I was dehydrated. I basically had no water for, almost 24 hours. I go to this doctor's office. He pulls out the x-ray. He looks at it and he goes, "I'll be right back." I said, "Okay." Maybe 5 minutes later, he comes back and he says, "I need you to go across the parking lot to the hospital. This band has to come out." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Honey, your band has slipped and it's halfway down your stomach." And I argued with him because my son was graduating from high school the next week. And I said, "I don't have time for this. Like, what can we do to fix it?" And he said, "No, it needs to come out." And I started bawling because the first thing that came to my head was, I'm going to get fat again. And in my mind, getting fat again was worse than dying. And I tried to argue with him. Finally, I begrudgingly went across the parking lot. They had me in the operating room in less than an hour. My husband got there while surgery was going on. Like, this was a very unexpected occurrence. The surgery was about an hour and a half to remove my band. It was 15 minutes to put it in. It was about an hour and a half to take it out. And he had the camera in there and was taking photos as he was doing things step by step. And so I go through the surgery. Okay. I get wheeled into recovery. He comes out to talk to my husband. And when my husband told me what the doctor relayed to him on the way home, it scared the bejeebus out of me because he said her band had slipped all the way down. It was over halfway through my stomach. Now, keep in mind, when they put this plastic band in my stomach, it was stitched in to keep it in place. So I had thrown up so much in that 24-hour period that I broke all of the stitches. So I had lacerations in my stomach up above. And then as it was going down and getting more tight, then I was tearing into my stomach. It was eroding basically my stomach lining. So he had to stitch up my stomach. He had to do all this other repair work. And he told my husband she was about 24 hours away from her stomach perforating and she would have been dead. Like, I get goosebumps every time I say it.
Girl, that's what I keep saying. You giving me goosebumps.
Yeah.
I
had no idea that I could have died from having this thing put in me because I did the less barbaric option. Come on now. I just stuck a piece of plastic around my stomach. I didn't do anything scary until it became really scary.
Let me just say, you hit on so many areas that I want to dive into. Girl, you got me over here taking notes. It's like something, okay. Well, I wrote down what kind of complications, but you did beautifully to do that. The first thing that you said that stood out to me, that even though people were having some issues, but you still said yes. So when, and I want people to really understand this because that mindset, I think about where I was 11, 12, 13 years ago at that sick and tired of sick and tired. And you didn't hear me say this, but that's one of the things I say. I just wanted to be smaller. I just wanted to be smaller. And as you were talking, even though people were having some issues, even to the point where that lady was in there, that her band slipped, but you heard just enough what you needed to hear. And I want to reach across to America and, the world, if you're listening to this. We understand what you're going through, wanting to be smaller. And Adrian can attest to this as well. If it seems like an obstacle is in the way, your will and desire is going to just make you think, oh, see, nope, and you push and push. But those obstacles, now that I stand and look back, those were to get me to not do it. But I saw smaller. I
Yep.
saw smaller. And in your story, it's like, well, for me, it was 164 pounds by my 50th birthday. But then when I was 50 and one day, then it was 165 and then 166. I ain't seen them 160s again until now. You also okay, so here's the question. What things were you wanting to change in your life before this ban? And this is what I want to hone in on, because you're going to touch the life of other people at this moment. What It's not just about being smaller, because see, you turned around and said that if I get this, all of these things will be okay. So now you have one meaning of that, but let me tell you what it meant for me. I'm thinking about it. You're so right. I don't know if something is going on in someone's marriage. My husband, like roly poly me, he didn't really care. But it could be a relationship. You're sick and tired of being big and not finding someone to love you. You are tired of being the biggest friend in the group. I want you to hone in on that right there. It wasn't all the food aspect. That's why they had you to go see somebody. It is other areas. What else was it? At that moment, what did that mean for you, where you were looking for the change in your life before that ban? What were some of the things? It wasn't just food, because that's going to reach someone to let them know they're not alone.
All of the above. So my husband and I were at that time, we were kind of struggling in our marriage. And I figured, okay, if I look a certain way, then he's going to feel a little bit different about me. And keep in mind, most of this was me self-sabotaging. So we were struggling a bit, which all we had to do was communicate. Go figure. We have to talk to each other. That works. Okay. I was in a business at the time where every woman around me was tall and thin and beautiful and perfect, and they made so much money, and I didn't. I had friends who, yes, I was usually the bigger person in the friend group. I had my son who was watching me, who was growing up, who was following my example, and my son was always bigger too. But keep in mind, my son is now 26 years old. He is 6'5" and about 310 pounds. He was an offensive lineman for most of his life through college. So I had a big boy, but I was so worried that he was going to get teased and he was going to not have opportunities because he was big, like his mom was, because he learned everything about eating and health and all that from me. I was extremely unhappy with myself. And having the ability to be skinny, and that's all it was just, if I was thinner, if I weighed less, if I was able to fit into cuter clothes, my life would be so much better, because that was the illusion that I had created in my mind, even though it was the complete opposite of what reality was. I'm so much better now than I was way back then, because I actually dealt with this.
That's so important. Thank you so much for reaching those women and men, that this thing is bigger than just the weight. Sometimes we are really now, for me, I was looking for my clothes to fit better. Just certain, because clothes let anybody wear them. I need for that to sink into some people. They are not prejudiced at all. If you feel you can pour your body over into, go ahead and pour your body over into it, and yeah. So hopefully that touched someone, that, listen, you're not alone in this. We all feel that way. What about you, Adrian? You've been quiet. I know you are. Michelle, thank you for introducing her to us. Michelle, this is a phenomenal story. This is phenomenal.
Thank you.
Yeah. They were
It's just
offering the ban. I was looking for that permanency. And I felt that the sleeve, you're just going to take a portion of that stomach, but you are wonderfully made. And that means that that portion of my stomach that was removed, it also took some valuable parts of me as well, because, and I share, I no longer get hungry. I was on the bathroom this morning, just first thing in the morning, and my urine was strong. And then that's what made me think, rewind, last 24 hours. I think I ate once yesterday because I don't get hungry like that. I was so busy yesterday. And then, as a matter of fact, I forgot my bowl in here and it still had some of the food in it. So that means I didn't even get them 3 ounces. That's not good for me at all. I literally need a clock. And I say that to remind me to eat, because that portion was cut off and left with the other part of my stomach. Yeah.
I think you got in on a very important part, which is, I think, why it just tugged at my heart, because I forgot, I remember wanting to be skinny because mine was 10 years ago, but I totally forgot that I did not think I was lovable. I did not think that I could be, it didn't matter that I was married. He didn't love me because I was big. It didn't matter that I was the top producer on my team. I'm never going to succeed because I am the biggest person in the room. Like, I definitely thought less of myself, and that there's no path to true success for me unless I lose this weight. Like, it weighed on me more than just my body. It weighed on my heart and my mind every single freaking day. And so with my story, I had lost it, through The Biggest Loser, and then gained it back. And I got a little taste of, I'm the same person, whether I'm big or small, but I still didn't love myself. Even when I was small, I still didn't figure out how to have self-worth. And so I got the gastric band or the gastric bypass, hoping that I would learn self-love somewhere in there. And I did have to, I quit drinking right before I had my surgery. And so I was working a 12-step program, and that's where I learned love for myself and then love for other people too. And so I'm grateful for that. When you had to do your prep for this, is there a certain diet? Do you have to do the liquid diet like we had to do? Was there like lifelong, this is how you're going to keep the weight off? Or it was just like, we're going to put this band on you and then that'll just fix it?
Yep. So I did my own personal liquid diet the week before, just because I wanted to get myself used to only being able to have liquids for 2 weeks. But keep in mind, that made me lose weight, which then would have taken me out of being eligible to have surgery. So I had to work very carefully in doing that, so that the day that I went to the hospital and I weighed in, I was still fat enough to be able to get the surgery done. So yeah, I did it myself just so I would be used to it. But even then, after the fact, you're not used to it, especially when your family is able to sit over there and eat tacos and you've got green Jello. Like, it's not okay.
Were you emotional after the surgery? Because my family told me that they're like scarred to this day because I was so emotional after the surgery.
Yeah, I cried the first time my husband and my son brought food home and ate it in front of me. I cried and I was angry. And I lashed out at them, and I'm like, why would you do this to me? I can't eat. Why would you bring this food home and eat it in front of me? So yeah, that's the same thing happened on our end.
So you had the weight creep. I don't know. Are you part of any of the gastric Facebook groups? This is
No.
so common. That's all the
People
questions
don't
that are pretty
realize
much
how
in the gastric
often
groups.
it happens. Yeah.
And then I read the directions and I just cringe, because they're like, go back to the liquid diet. Are you eating more than 800 calories a day? Are you eating your 1-cup portions? If not, well, that's why it didn't work, because you're a failure, because you didn't keep up this super unsustainable starvation diet for the rest of your life.
Yep.
Well, let me add on to that and teach you guys what the ones way back there. Come on in a little bit. I need you to hear this. I just shared with you that I might have eaten once yesterday. I didn't wake up smaller today.
Mm-hmm.
So that calorie deficit that we've been doing to ourselves, that is not the answer at all. I believe that if I still had my entire stomach and I was doing what I'm doing now, I would be smaller than I am now. So now my battle is trying to get enough food inside of me. How crazy is this, right?
I don't have that
Because
problem.
I don't have all of these cravings. So let me just share real quick. This sidebar. Let's go up here to the side, y'all. I'm turning 60. My birthday is coming up. And I'm like super, super excited. And with that being said, I have, I think, 5 or 6 more cruises throughout the rest of this year. Starting July, 2 in August, 1 in September, November and December. Okay, 5. Yeah. And so I'm trying to feel good about me. That's what I'm trying to do. Yesterday, I was so caught up in what it was that I was doing. Hunger did not set in. So I'm saying to you, if that's all it took, I would be so much smaller than I am now. But keep in mind, I have to constantly say this. I didn't eat. I just lost muscle. So if that scale goes down, I'm not excited about it because I don't know if it was a pound of muscle or a pound of fat. Well, I ain't got much fat on me. So I know that I'm working down in regards to the muscle. And so that's not the answer for us. I am not kidding. And I say it all the time. I live a life of very few regrets, very few, because I believe that everything that happened to me in my life designed me into who I am now. So no complaints here, except for that surgery. It's like I feel 33 on the inside, but then in the last couple of days, uh guys, I've been like, what if I'm doing all the right things now, but I can't get enough food inside of me to really live these additional 50 years? When I say to you, because of how I'm living my life now, I believe wholeheartedly that I have at least another 50 years. That's what made me get braces. Got to chew this meat. I got to do all these different things. My life is not over turning 60. Honey, I just turned a cartwheel. I've just done all of these different things that I don't normally do. Hey, I forgot that was going to happen. wait. Yeah, let's just get a whole thing going on. Y'all ready? Yes, I'm super, super excited of
Oh, gosh.
everything that's going on in my life right now. But I have to be concerned about the amount that I eat, meaning I'm not eating a lot. So that's not the answer, everyone. Calorie deficit is not the answer because on the inside of you, other things are happening that might not be for your benefit. So you want to be active as you get older and just take it a day at a time. All right, y'all go ahead.
So,
Go ahead.
Michelle, can you tell us then? So, you have this off. Do you gain all your weight back? Like, what happened next?
It's funny because now that I'm getting my Facebook memories from when I had my band removed, this morning's memory said I'm up 5 pounds from where I was when I had the band taken off. A lot of that was inflammation from surgery, of course, but girl, I could eat. I ate bread for the first time in 4 years and I didn't stop. So yeah, every year the weight went up and up and up and up and up. And again, I had traumatic things happening in my life. The week before I had this issue with the band, I found out my dad had a terminal illness that I had never heard of before, but I'm very well versed in now, which is Lewy body dementia. He dealt with that for 5 years. he passed away in 2019, October of 2019. And for as little time as I spent living with my biological father, I had no idea the emotional impact losing him was going to have on me. And food was everything. And I'm not just a sad eater. I eat when I'm stressed. I eat when I'm excited. I eat when I'm happy. I eat when I'm around people. I eat when I'm alone. Like, but after my dad died, that's when the binge eating started. And I look back on it and I want to cry because I can't believe I did that to myself. I can't believe I became that person, because I knew people who had issues like this before, and I'm not one of them. I'm not like that. And so what happened at the beginning of 2020? The world went mad, right? And my husband and I were bringing in food from, local restaurants because we were trying to keep everybody afloat and do this and do that. And I was working from home and he was getting furloughed right and left. And the stress was just all the way up here. So I ate and I ate and I ate and I ate and I ate. And there's one evening that really stands out to me. And I was in the kitchen, which is, we've got an open floor plan. So my husband's up here, on the couch watching TV. I'm back here in the kitchen at the refrigerator, and I am shoving lemon meringue pie in my face. And I am eating it so fast so that he doesn't realize I'm doing it. And I felt so sick and nauseous and disgusted with myself. The next day I got on the scale and I was 286 pounds. And that was the heaviest I'd ever been in my entire life. And I looked at myself in the mirror because I did not look at myself. And I was just, who is this person? Like, how did I become this person? And the following week, my husband ended up going to Washington for work. And I sent him a text message and I said, I'm doing keto again. You can eat it if you want to, but I'm not making different food. And his response to me was, okay, I like meat. And this was the third time I had done keto in my life. The first time was in 2017. And 2 weeks in, I ended up having emergency surgery to have my gallbladder removed. I blamed keto. I ate too much fat. It's keto's fault. No, I had 200 stones in my gallbladder from all the prior years of abusing my body. That's what caused it. And then in 2018 or 2019, we did it again. But we never got beyond like a 2-week period of actually eating like we were supposed to before something would come up. And, I threw it out the window and, would stop on the way home and get pizza or Carl's Jr. or Arby's or something else because I need this. I need this right now. And so when I finally had enough and I was in so much pain all the time, like my elbows were always hurting, my joints were hurting, my feet were always hurting. I thought I had plantar fasciitis because of my feet. I was depressed. My anxiety was through the roof. And I didn't know what to do with myself anymore. And all of a sudden I see a video from Dr. Barry that it was a study that had been released that day, I believe, kind of counteracting or, what had been reported back in the 70s about saturated fat being dangerous and causing atherosclerosis and causing heart disease and this and that. And it's, okay, maybe it's not this. Maybe it's a combination of this and this, the carbs and the fat. And so I said, okay, I have no more excuses. I need to do this and I need to do it for real. And when I started, I still did dirty keto. I did the low carb tortillas and I did the low carb this and the low carb that. And as I started to lose weight and feel a little bit better, then I actually cleaned things up. And within 3 months, I had no more pain in my body. I woke up one day and I'm like, I feel normal. Wow. Okay. And then my depression started dissipating and my anxiety was going away. And oh my God, my marriage is getting better. What is happening? And, it's because I'm losing weight. That's why.
Or is it because you started doing it more? I'm just kidding. I'm
Actually,
sorry.
it was because I got I watched a video from Dr. Sivas, and
Yeah.
he made me look inside of myself and come to terms with why I was doing what I was doing for as long as I had been doing it. And that was traumatizing, number one. But then that was my awakening, and it changed everything. You know, I, like Adrian had said, how can my husband love me when I am this way? I am unlovable. I hated myself. So how could my husband love me and want to be with me and be in a marriage with me when I don't want to be with me? I don't like who I am. And once that mindset shift took place, I never looked back.
Can I get you to do something? A lot of times when I listen and to people, I listen as if I don't know what you're talking about. Explain the keto.
Yes. What
Because
does clean keto mean?
yes, clean and dirty, break it down and ready,
Because
set, go.
I thought I was keto for 10 years. And after going carnivore, I realized I wasn't in keto. So go ahead and tell us.
So the dirty keto is essentially you're still using, you know, processed foods, you're using packaged items, you're counting net carbs as opposed to total carbs. So, and what people don't realize is when they do dirty keto and they're counting net carbs, even though, well, I'm staying below 20 carbs a day. No, sweetheart, you're at 60, 70, 80 total carbs a day. So you're still consuming way more than you realize that you're consuming. And once I
But
realized,
wait a minute.
oh,
So why is it that they think they're doing 20, but you're saying 80? Tell
marketing,
Because of
you
the
know,
lie that
they take
certain
the
carbs
fiber.
don't count.
Yeah, they take the fiber, they take the sugar alcohols, they take other things that they throw into these items to kind of guise the fact that there is still wheat in them. There are still some sort of grains in them. And it's, oh, well, no, you just need this. You can do net carbs because then you're eating so much less, which yes, you're eating significantly less than you were on, you know, any standard American diet where you're consuming upwards of 300 grams of carbs a day, but it's not enough. And then people get frustrated and then they get tired of it and then they throw it out the window because, well, this doesn't work. So I'm done. But then you go to Whole Foods and you start actually counting and paying attention to your total carbs and tracking what you're eating and looking at it, you know, every single day and saying, "Ooh, okay, now I get it." Then you're on a better path. So yeah, you want to stay under 20 total carbs a day. Some people say 50, I say 20 because you don't need that many carbs in your life. But that's, you know, when I shifted from, you know, doing the dirty keto, the net carbs to doing total carbs, it was a big awakening. But then, oh my God, I can eat more meat. Okay. And I'm not the type of person that sits there and eats a stick of butter or anything like that. I'm not that driven to, you know, to get my fats up and things like that, like other people are, or that they need to. I just eat the fatty meat and, you know, I'll still have heavy cream in my coffee. I will not give that up. I refuse to. There are times I will have, you know, keto, gluten-free types of treats very, very sparingly because almond flour really does not like me. But once I got to a certain point on my journey that I knew I wasn't going to be triggered by certain things, then I allowed myself a little bit more leeway. But I have to keep a tight rein on things or I know what will happen.
I wish people knew too that sure, this might be low carb, but the carbs that are in it are rice, potato, I forget what the other ones are, but they're like insanely higher glycemic than
Yep.
wheat would have been. And it's spiking
Tapioca
your
starch.
insulin, which is causing you cravings, which is causing you to store fat. So they're calling it low carb, but it's actually working against you. And then they fill it with soy and chemicals and inflammation. And almonds should not be ground up. Oh, it's so inflammatory. Okay, so now you coach people and you specifically would love to help anybody who's like us who had the surgery and is like, now what? But you'll help anybody. Like it's somebody, right, who's like considering the surgery, but maybe maybe they could come work with you instead.
Yeah.
So what would be 3 tips you would give someone who's been struggling? They already had the surgery. Now what do I do? Should I go back to a liquid diet and eating 800 calories, or what should I do? Help me.
So my first thing would be, why did you do this? What was the reason why you decided to undergo a medical procedure to alter your physiology in order to lose weight? What is your why? And that's a huge focus on my practice is your why, is mindset. Because if that mindset is not where it needs to be, you're not going to succeed at anything. I don't care how many restrictions you put on yourself. You have to know why you are doing this. What is it that's driving you? What is it that's going to keep driving you when it gets really tough? Because that's the tool, the biggest tool you'll have in your belt. Number 2 would be to take a really good look at how it is that you're eating. What is your menu like? What do you eat every single day? What time do you eat every single day? When you are hungry, are you actually hungry? Do you know your hunger signals? Do you know your cues? Or are you just eating because? And then number 3 would be, girl, let's get lifting some weights, because we have got to lift the heavy things. We have got to build the muscle. That is going to burn fat so much faster than starving yourself is going to.
Yeah, one of my biggest complaints about The Biggest Loser is let's lose as much weight as we can, even if that means that I'm now a skeleton, an unhealthy skeleton that's going to fall over, which you can't really tell on the men. But when you were behind stage, you were like, oh my gosh, this person is sick. This person's really sick. But I like the muscle thing. The more muscle we have, the stronger we are, the more longevity, and the more meat we can eat.
Exactly.
Right? Let me show people where they can find you.
Okay.
Because you are on Instagram, you're on YouTube. Oh, I didn't pull up, but you have a website which people can get off your link tree
Yes.
for your coaching.
And it is actually
Okay.
through Bronson's, his website. So it's coachbronson.com/F2 bootcamp.
Oh, here it is right here. So we can just click on that so you guys can see she's got a coaching program. And you're a primal health coach. I like that. That's a little, you're specifically not going to say, listen, why don't you just eat some potato chips in moderation, right?
Never. No, and I like the primal aspect of it because it's how our ancestors ate. I mean, back when we were getting eaten by dinosaurs, we weren't dying from heart disease and things like that. Like, we ate what we had available to us. We ate the whole food that was around us. If that meant at certain times of year, we ate certain types of foods, which, yes, did end up bulking us through the winter, then that's what we did. If we, during the summer, want to have, some berries that are in season, then that's okay, but again, don't overdo it, especially if you've got triggers. It's not a cookie cutter program for me. I don't put my clients on the same program whatsoever. It depends on where you are in your journey. It depends on what your goals are and what you need for your specific body.
Yeah, my triggers would be food addiction and hormone issues. So it'd be different than a person who's just, I don't know, everybody's got their thing. Okay. And
I've
then
got women who are trying to lose 100 pounds. I've got women who are trying to gain 15 to 20 in muscle. I mean, I've got the whole spectrum there.
Ooh, I do love. Do you work all the programs that they offer? Because I know they've got like Mommy Muscle and.
I do Muscle Mommies, and it is freaking amazing. I hate exercise. I am not going to lie. I'm a health coach and I hate exercise. But when we started Muscle Mommies in January, that was life-changing for me. And so I love when my clients start doing the Muscle Mommies along with the program they're doing with me, the boot camp, because they are getting such better results just from lifting weights. And then we can also kind of complain about it together because we all hate Bulgarian split squats, right? So let's vent about the Bulgarian split squats. Oh, they're the devil, but they work.
Was there anything we missed, Michelle? Go ahead, G.
No, yeah.
Did you have any more questions, G?
No, I want to know where are you now? I have to slip this part in. Have you ever thought about going carnivore?
I I am basically a ketovore at this point. I eat it's eggs and meat. That's what my primary diet is. Like I said, every once in a while I'll slip in a little treat here and there. I'm going on the cruise in, oh my gosh, a week. And I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm on the ship, but I for the most part remember how I felt last year because I ate desserts and I allowed myself to do it. And ooh, I look at the pictures and I'm so bloated. And then my joints hurt for 2 weeks. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that this year. But
So what cruise line are you going on?
so it's actually the low carb cruise that's
Have
leaving.
you heard of this, G?
It's
No, wait
leaving
a
next
minute.
Friday.
But the cruise line is what?
Royal.
Okay, well, I'm loyal to Royal. So
Ah!
let me just, so
Have
let
you
me
heard
just
of the low carb cruise?
I think just through reading some comments over time. I don't know how y'all get all these links and stuff like that. They just must skip right over my computer. But anyway, one of the things that you can do prior to even getting on the ship, write out what it is, how you want to eat. An example for me is I write out, I only eat meat. I do not use seed oil, seasonings, so on and so. And I go down with that. And then I even add, if this is in my food, it's going to set my system off and mess my vacation up. And because you put that in there, they don't want that to happen. And so now when I go to the egg station to get eggs, I go by the bread station first and grab butter. I take it. So now I'm in line and I let them know, do not use seed oils, only use this for my eggs. And then I request my over medium or over easy or whatever. Then I guarantee that I get a real egg and not some liquid stuff. And then when I go to dinner, when I first get on the ship, I go to the restaurant first to see whatever floor I'm on, and I hand that to that head, either the head waiter or whoever is in charge of that floor right there. I give that to them to let them know. So now they're looking for me. And once you meet with that head person there, I let them know I need for you to communicate with the windjammer, because what I'm not getting ready to keep explaining what it is that I'm doing. And I just really have no issues. And because I verbally put it out, I mindfully watch what I'm doing because I know I got people watching me.
Yes.
So one thing that I can say is, and this is this is no toot because wait till you hear part B. A is I really don't cheat. If I put something in my mouth that I'm not supposed to, I might bite it a couple of times and I and I spit it out. I don't do that for a few reasons. One, the main reason is the pain level that I was in prior to going carnivore. That
Your
pain
why.
level that I was in, and if I eat something, it's like it brings the pain back. And because I was on Percocets and I no longer have them, and it wasn't the low dose. I always tell people that. It's not like I could get in pain, take 2 Tylenol, and I'm gonna be okay. Or even if I decide to take a Percocet, find one, it doesn't take the pain away. So it's not like I'll be pain free. There's not a bite of food that's worth that to me. But hold up, I'm on the ship and they make the best espresso martinis. And that ends up being my downslide.
If
No,
anybody
I have
wants,
to agree with you
I
there.
know. So that ends up being my downside. And when that happens, I say to myself, this is my one. So I'll have it. And then only one time on a ship where we were doing a weekend, we got on Friday, got off Monday. And because I am loyal to Royal, between him and I, we get 10 drinks a day for free.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't make the 10, but I made quite a few. And when I made it all the way coming home, I looked at him and said, "Oh, I messed up. Depression. I could not get out of bed for 2 days. Anxiety." I said, "Oh, I remember this."
Anxiety.
And I do not want that back in my life. So now I have more time for the shows. I have more time to look over the planner and say, you know what? I'm going to go to this. Yeah, because I'm not spending all the time sitting at a table eating. So you really do enjoy that cruise. And so to you, enjoy. But you can, I do the same thing with my cabin steward. Because on Royal, if you a junior suite or above, they still clean your room twice, but a balcony below, they don't. So I have my list for them. I need 6 to 8 towels, not including those, because you ain't coming back. I want a bucket of ice, an extra pillow, I have a list to give to them first day. So we're and I put a tip in it. So it's not like I'm asking people to do stuff and they look and say, but I haven't done anything. I say, yeah, but if you take care of me, there'll be another tip at the end. So you end up
They're
having,
very, very good on Royal.
Michelle is on the committee for low carb cruise. I'm pretty sure she's got some tips too. So if anybody would like information about those cruises, because this year's
Yeah.
next week, so you probably can't hop on. But next year's
We
Alaska.
actually had somebody last week book to get on the ship. And I said, man, to be able to get on a cruise ship in 2 weeks with just like, okay, yeah, we're going to go.
So let me
That's
ask, where are you guys
amazing.
going?
This
All over
year
the
we
place.
leave from Orlando and we're doing St. Croix, St. Thomas, San Juan, Puerto Rico, and then Coco Cay.
So you're going to be on the Adventure?
Yes.
Not,
You know your ships. And
no,
they've got
because
some amazing
I'm booked for
every
that
year.
one. I'm booked for that one in September. That's how I knew.
Oh,
I was like,
cool.
wait, that sounds like I just booked that. Yeah.
That sounds just like
September.
mine.
I
Yeah,
do
'cause
have to say,
missed
if
it.
we're gonna go on the cruise craziness here, my first cruise, I felt like absolute dog poop after I left. I did not ask them to remove my seed oils. I ate spices, blah blah blah. Second cruise, I stuck to my meat. I walked every day, and I left that ship without gaining a pound.
See,
Yeah.
I decided to indulge in baked Alaska because that's a cruise staple and I never get it anywhere else. And yeah, you get the regret afterwards. And then you're like, okay, and this is why I don't eat like this anymore.
I feel that you just have to decide. For me, the pain is my reasoning. That's the thing that keeps me in check. It doesn't have to be an outside force. That is like, no, thank you. No, thank you. And that's where it's like I won't even say depriving. I'm making much better choices for myself. But then that would just really bother me if by chance that I'm still not eating enough. That would just really crush me. It's like, wait, I'm doing all of this and now you're trying to tell me I don't eat enough?
I
Yeah.
need more food. Yeah.
So let me see. Back your bags. I'm just trying to keep up with Don on here. Yep, pack your bag. Okay, so you guys do this cruise once a year?
Correct.
And
It's
it's around
lowcarbcruise.com is the website. So we are booking for Alaska for 2025. That's going to be in June of 2025.
Okay,
so much fun.
All right. Now here's one for Alaska. And hopefully y'all on the right ship on that one. Because the ship was gorgeous. But even if Alaska was free, I would not go again.
No,
because in my
There's
mind,
going to be
excited
amazing
for it.
speakers though, and we get to be right with them, and so it's like the
but
experience of being with
listen,
family.
no, because in my head, when I'm on a ship that is swimwear, so I have this whole thing right down in the islands, and I got on that cruise, and I had a sweatshirt, earmuffs. I was like, this is not crazy. I needed to be in the right mind space, and I wasn't. I kept doggone it. I need some sun, and I put that swimming suit on and went upstairs and froze because I was determined to put the swimming suit on. So
hey,
yeah,
more power.
That was not. Yeah, No.
Alaska is on my bucket list. So the fact that we were able to do Alaska, I was like, oh, we're doing it.
No, anybody, you have to do it. Beautiful. But I just need to fly there. That's what I need to do. That I cannot mix that cruise ship. But listen, when you go to I'm going to give you another one. St. Martin. In St. Martin, there is an alcohol. And you might not drink, that's fine, but these make excellent gifts. It's called BBD, and that is the YouTube version that I'm going to say. It is actually called Big Black, and you just think of what the D is. That's the physical name. I got some upstairs, right? But
they did that good.
I didn't even open the stuff. But I'm giving that away as gifts. Baby, my gift always wins. So I'm going back because I have upstairs, I have the regular and the vanilla, but there are other flavors. I'm going back for coconut. And it's a pirate on the front. And it's written out Big Black on the front. And I love and it's only in St. Martin, but I love going to all the other islands and walking in. Hey, do you guys have Big Black?
Oh my gosh,
like,
you're one of a
no,
kind.
we
I
don't
love
have
you,
BBD. It's only in St. Martin. I say, I knew it. I just like saying it.
So much fun.
Well, Michelle, I really appreciate you coming on here and telling your story. I hope that it helps someone, because even if they're considering getting the least invasive surgery, it may not last long term and it can have significant consequences. And so there's other options, whether you've had the surgery or not, of how we can have lifelong weight loss and lifelong success. I really appreciate you telling your story. Is there anything else I missed? Michelle?
No, I thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it. And it was amazing meeting the two of you.
Well,
thank you for coming on.
Your story is amazing. And I really hope, whether it's live or replay, thank you guys for hanging in with us. But I will say that whatever your issues are, they don't go away with the surgery.
Amen.
Thank you. We'll catch you next week, as we have actually another story next week to share with you of how things went and what they're doing today. So thank you guys. Have a great day.